Hello beautiful people and welcome back to the channel. So yes, you saw it right on the thumbnail. The topic of this video is me, Mr. Timmy, versus the new Navy hero versus Gypsy and versus Hazel. Now yes, I know that a lot of you guys are still waiting for a video of the new hero on Navy versus the planes. I'm working on that, but I can give you a small spoiler, which is that video won't be a Harry Potter movie. So don't expect any miracles from that. So let's go back on the topic. Timmy versus this hero. Now, I'm playing this game for more than 2.5 years right now. And honestly speaking, at one point, this company is gonna push me into claiming that this game and the tanks and the planes are managed by River Game, while the Navy is probably managed by an external team, and sadly on top there is actually no connection and no contact between the River Game and this so-called external team, because there's no other way to explain this. So the new hero, it's Navy only with a very massive offense buff, which is nothing more than a bait. Yes, you heard me right, that's just a bait, and allow me to explain you why. So this hero, generally speaking, is better than Kotiva, but it gives you actually an external offense buff, which is actually hooked to you using other heroes, specifically other heroes. In this case, a hero with an indestructible buff, and another hero which also provides you some kind of damage reduction shield in order to boost actually this offense on top. So yes, you see that theoretically speaking, it's possible to go all the way up to 200%, but when is that the case? And let me put a list on the screen. Now it's obvious that you're gonna have to get the level 7, but let's ignore the level 7 for a second. When are you getting the maximum out of this super buff? Number 1, you're gonna need 2 extra heroes which actually push this damage by having the indestructible buff and by having this heavy armor or whatever kind of a tool which has a damage reduction shield. Number 2, you need the heavy trooper. Now we all know that the heavy trooper can be sometimes in healing. So if it's in healing, this won't apply. So the heavy trooper must be in the march. On top of this, your heavy trooper setup, aka your high fire rate, must be bigger than your opponent's. And also on top of this, you also need that these 2 extra heroes to proc as soon as possible. So this is how you can take the maximum advantage out of this buff. Now let's have a look at Miss Hazel, for example. This is a very solid hero. Just like her, she is strictly only for one specific unit type. In this case, she is only for planes. She has a solid offense buff. She has a small shield. She also gonna give you an extra damage on top. And of course, she also have an ignite effect. Now, the point right here is that some heroes in the future can benefit from this ignition, but this hero doesn't need specific other 2 heroes in order to reach a higher performance. That's the point here. Now, let's go to Mr. Gypsy. So at this point, I would like to thank Darth very much for helping me doing this test again. And I have to mention some important things. First of all, of course, I have to mention that I sadly had to use a Gypsy level 7 simply because I don't have a Gypsy level 5. And of course, I have to mention also that the perks are of course Navy on Gypsy. And we can have a look very quick on the stats. So we see Darth stats again, and you can also see my Navy stats again. And now let's put the battle results on the screen so you can see a difference. Another important side note right here is, yes, this new Navy hero, it's a very complicated hero, meaning we are still doing a lot of tests, and for some things we can actually approximate, yes, what would it look like. So from this point of view, if we will put a Gypsy level 7, the new Navy hero, then yes, most certainly the Navy hero will gonna do way more damage. Now, if we look at Gypsy, he has a very strong offense buff, of course, is not that crazy as from the new Navy hero. On top of it, he has a massive hit, and on top of it, he has a vulnerable buff, which means, in other words, whomever we're gonna hit next that tile is gonna do a bigger damage. So in other words, again, this hero doesn't need specific heroes in order to push towards his maximum performance. Quite the contrary, future heroes can use Gypsy, but Gypsy doesn't need them. So from this perspective, my question to this so-called external team which develops the Navy is, guys, where is the Navy going? So we all know, minimum, you're gonna try to sell us a new Navy hero. So what hero would you replace? Now, my honest bet is you won't touch Crimson. Maybe you will, but my honest bet is you won't touch Crimson. So yes, we have to look at Lila. And honestly speaking, let's imagine for a second, how should a Lila 2.0 look like? Now, we all need the indestructible buff, so we're gonna need that. For 2 rounds, it's pretty solid. 1 round is not a lot. 2 rounds is simply perfect. On top of this hero must have a proc hit and hit very strong. On top of this hero needs an attack debuff, because then Crimson can use that in order to hit even harder. So the point right here is, what exactly you want to put on top of this? Where are you going to? And that's the main issue, and that's why I'm so absolutely angry with whomever designs specifically Navy heroes, because they are so hooked up with each other. It's absolutely unbelievable, difficult to always explain to the new players, you know, take that hero, but if you use that hero, you need the other hero to use it together, because this is how they work the best. So yes, this video is still in a very constructive and very friendly way, even though I'm very, very angry. I hope this video helps you guys in order to make the difference between these heroes. And honestly speaking, the hero is great, is better than Kotiva, but actually this super buff, it's nothing else but just a bait. So generally speaking, you can actually still use Gypsy if you like on your Navy. You're gonna get a very, very solid performance out of it. Of course, at one point you will have to take Gypsy and put it on something else, either on the planes because you're gonna start building your planes, or either you're gonna have to put him on the tanks because you're gonna start building the tanks. But till then, what you can do is, yes, unlock this hero, but don't hurry. A lot of you guys are still in a process of leveling up a Gypsy and getting his level 5. So beautiful people, if you enjoy this type of content, and if you are still not subscribed to this channel, guys, please, it makes a massive difference for me, not only to fight this YouTube algorithm to push my videos higher, but also it's gonna motivate me a lot. What also will motivate me is you hitting that like button. And if you have questions regarding this topic of this video, you know where the comments are, and don't forget to see me in the next episode.